Hello everyone, welcome to another video from City Self-Sufficiency. Today we're going to be setting up the incubator to hatch some of these guys. These are Coturnix quail eggs. I bought them online and they arrived with me yesterday, and I've had them resting overnight, pointy end down of course, so they're now fully rested and ready to start incubating. I'm going to be using my trusty old Brinsea Mini Advance. You might have a different incubator at home with a different layout, but the requirement to hatch the eggs will be exactly the same. So the first thing we need to do is just take the lid off. Pop that to one side and just check that the egg tray is clean and it's able to rotate freely. There's nothing stopping it from moving in a smooth circle. Then we remove the water guard and you'll see that inside there are two receptacles to hold water. You need to fill one of those to below this bar. So you just need to pour water into just one side and then bring it up until it's sort of there, that's fine. It doesn't really matter how much water you put in, it just needs to make sure it's got water in it. The eggs will need humidity in order for them to develop properly. But that water is sort of, I'll shake it about a bit, you can see, just a little bit beneath this separating bar. When it gets to about 2 days before the chicks are due to hatch, that's when you'll be putting water in this side as well. Up until then, they can have water just in one side, but 2 days before hatch, fill this side too to above this bar so that it'll be really quite full of water. And then at that point, that's when you're going to need to bring in your little water guard, just so that when they hatch, they don't fall in. Once the water is in place and you've got your guard ready, it's time to set the eggs. So just pop them into each of the little holes with their pointy end towards the water. You may find that as the tray moves around and it turns the eggs, that they might sort of spin around a little bit. That's all right, that's absolutely fine. So long as they're still continuing to turn over and over, then the development will still be absolutely fine. And now that we've got the eggs in place, we can pop the lid back on. Make sure it's settled on nice and firmly, it's not sort of sticking up at the sides or anything, but as long as it's on there nice and tight, we should be fine. And now we come to setting up the actual incubator itself to see what sort of temperature, what sort of turning intervals and that sort of thing we want on it. You need to remember that this is going to be specifically for Coturnix quail eggs. If you're looking to hatch chicken eggs, the settings will be very slightly different. Also bear in mind that this is the point of no return. Once you've set this incubator off, you can't stop it without killing the chicks which were developing inside. So, point of no return, if you are sort of undecided about whether now is the time to do it, then leave it for a bit, otherwise we'll crack on. Now when you first switch the incubator on, it's going to make all sorts of little noises. And that's basically it checking itself. It's checked to make sure that it can turn the egg disc, it's checked to make sure that everything is working, a little alarm goes off if anything isn't working. But as you can see on the front of the dial at the moment we've got various bits of information being shown to us. For the most part you can ignore whatever first comes up on the screen, it'll be whatever the last settings were or the default settings if it's a brand new incubator. But first thing we need to look at is setting the temperature. So if we press these two buttons together, the positive and the minus, and we'll start going into the menu to looking at things that we can change. So temperature first, so specifically to Coturnix quail eggs, we're going to be looking at changing that to 37.6. Wow, I had it low to begin with. So right, there we go, so we're at 37.6 as you can see. We say OK to confirm that. Number of days, Coturnix quail, we're looking at 18 days, so click OK again to go in. And then we set to 18. Okay, next one, T mode. This is standing for turning mode. Do you want it to turn the eggs or not? So you've got off. Unlikely you'll be using that. I'm not too sure when you'd want to manually turn them if you have the option to not have to manually turn them. We've got on, or we've got auto. I would always go with auto. Auto just means it's going to stop turning the eggs 2 days before hatch is due. So we've just set it to 18 days. It will automatically stop turning them on day 16. This means that you're not going to have to turn it off yourself. It's just something else you don't have to think about. So we go with OK. Turning interval. This is how often do you want it to turn the eggs. So at the moment we're looking at 180 minutes. So that's a bit high really. I normally go with 2 hours. So there's 120 minutes, so every 120 minutes it's going to turn the eggs a little bit for you. Okay, turning angle. This isn't what it sounds like. It sounds like it's going to be, do you want to turn it by 90 degrees? Instead, it's how much do you want to turn the eggs in accordance to how big they are. So if we go into that, you'll have angles 1 through to 10. Brinsea on their own website have a guide that will show you what size you need to set yours for. For Coturnix quail particularly, you want 5. That will push them just enough so that they're turning over by about a quarter each time. Okay. Alarm high, so do you want the alarm to go off when the temperature gets too high? Yes, of course we do. 1.5 degrees is fine. That's the default setting that it comes with. If it's starting to get above that, then something's probably gone pretty tragically wrong and it's going to be difficult to rectify anyway without a new incubator. So that's fine. Exactly the same for alarm low. Do I want the alarm to go off if the temperature starts getting low? Yes, just so that I know if something has gone wrong. Cooling. This is a feature that's specific, I think, to Brinsea incubators, where they will switch off the incubator for a couple of hours or 45 minutes, however long you want it to, which simulates the hen leaving the nest. So in this case, yes, we want it to cool. And what's we set at? 60 minutes. Again, I normally go for 2 hours, so it'll let the eggs cool down for 2 hours every day. Which, as I say, it simulates the hen leaving the nest and then she comes back and starts to reheat them. So we'll, go with that one, 120. C and F, do you want your temperature displayed in Celsius or do you want it displayed in Fahrenheit? I don't understand Fahrenheit at all, so I'll stick with C, thank you. Display in C, yep, thank you. And save. Boom. So there we go. As you can see, we are now set with 18 days. This is actually a countdown, so it's going to let you see exactly where you're up to. It's going to go 17, 16, obviously 15, whatever, right down until hatch day. We've got a little thing spinning around just in that corner, hopefully you can see it. That is telling you that it is currently turning the eggs. That is the mode that it is set to. The little T just says that it's monitoring its temperature. The little sort of asterisk that you can see, is that an asterisk? That little sort of star thing that you can see next to it, that's telling you that the temperature is currently going up. So when that's off, it means the temperature isn't moving, it's stable or it's going down. And then it's recording, it's letting us know exactly what the temperature currently is. So we're at 26 degrees and hopefully we are climbing. So we'll just let it get up to temperature and then we'll come back to it. And here we are, so it's been about 10 minutes and we're now up to temperature. As you can see, we're at 37.6 degrees and it'll stay at that now for the duration of the incubation. If it goes up a little bit, you might see it go up to 37.7. You'll notice the star goes off. There you go, perfectly on time. There it goes. So that's just it allowing the temperature to go back down again. It's going to try and maintain exactly 37.6 degrees. And for the most part now, you can just leave the incubator completely alone. It'll do the job, it's going to do all of the turning for you. Keep an eye on the water that's inside, make sure that doesn't run out. And 2 days before hatching, you'll need to come back and fill up that other water trough that we went through at the beginning to above the bar, if you remember, just to make sure that they've got plenty of moisture in there for hatch day.
But that is everything set up and ready now. We can just leave the incubator to do its job. As a quick recap, you need to have the temperature set to 37.6 degrees. You need to fill 1 pot of water until 2 days before hatch, at which point you can fill the other side of the pot as well. Make sure you use the guard to stop chicks from falling into the water. Set the days to 18, set the turning mode to auto, set the angle to 5, both high and low temperature alarms to 1.5 degrees, and set the cooling to 120. Assuming all goes well, you should be able to hear chicks peeping inside the shells by day 16. Leave them completely alone in the incubator until they are dry and fluffy and moving around with at least some confidence. Then you can move them onto the brooder, but we'll come back to that a little bit closer to hatch time. For now, I want to say thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me down in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye!